Hi everybody, this is Pete Delatorre, founder and creator of the Pete Delatorre Show, and welcome to Blockchain Talk. Today is session 7, how to make money with blockchain. Our sponsor is Blockchain Ecosystems, powered by CrowdPoint Technologies. My guest today will be Sean O'Brien Brem, co-founder and chairman of CrowdPoint Technologies. Let's sit back and let's listen to the conversation I have with Sean. All right, everybody, here with me right now, Sean O'Brien Brem. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, how's it going today, Pete?
Fantastic, man. We've had some amazing conversations the last few weeks, all about the blockchain, what it is, why it's important, and how to use it. And we've gotten some heartfelt testimonials from around the world on those very things right there. We've had some experts come on and talk about the whole technology behind that. Now we're going to answer a big question that so many people have. Okay, we talk about opportunities. Well, today we want to talk about how to make money on the blockchain, how to monetize. Sean, let's dive right into the deep end of the pool here, and let's talk about all this exciting news, man.
No, I mean, it's great that we get into that. When you think about it, monetization of the blockchain, a lot of people talk theoretical. So let's talk at a practical level and really practical. Well, what that means, there's going to be a short term, a midterm, and a long term type outcome. In the short term, you're going to want to leverage the blockchain just to get your customers on the blockchain. So the idea behind this is you need to offer value. So as a micropreneur or someone who is on the blockchain, originally it's going to look a lot like it is today. It's going to be standing up a simple call to action page that's really well written. You're going to have strong search engine optimization on that because it's got to be a hybrid. You just can't go cold turkey into the blockchain. So what you're going to do is you're going to stand up a really good website and you're going to then begin to attract traffic. Now, what's really interesting about that is once you get everybody into the blockchain, a lot of these concepts we're going to talk about today are going to go away. But the first thing you want to do is get your product on the blockchain. But while you've got your product on the blockchain, you need to be looking both horizontally and vertically. Let's talk about horizontally. Mm-hmm. Horizontally, what you want to be doing is start to identify, well, where do I get this product from? And what are the attributes of the product? What are the shipping rules? What are the rules on taxes? What are the rules on, the types of things associated with shipping? Are there special instructions with shipping? Are there special taxes based upon where you sell them? That simple process takes that one product and allows you to start creating smart contracts. Even though you still look like a website, you start to figure out all those rules and start putting them into the blockchain. Mm-hmm. Now, that's going to be really important as we get into the next phase and we talk next week about expanding that. But the reason why it's important just to start doing commerce right now on the blockchain is it's a way to get in. You might as well pay for your expertise. So in other words, instead of just spending a ton of money to build out a blockchain, why don't you sell something? And if you sell something, you can actually learn all the lessons associated with what needs to get on the blockchain. Now let's talk about customers. Today, getting a customer to your blockchain powered store is not going to change much right now. Right now, what's going to happen is you're going to have to use traditional techniques. You're going to have to build strong search engine. You have to build strong meta tagging. You have to build strong backlinks. You're going to have to drive traffic to your site, and you want to send an email. Now, it's interesting. It's a great example to talk about. We're going to send an email to someone that says, hey, come to my site, buy my product, and as an added benefit, once you fill out your information, I'm going to create and partner with an organization like CrowdPoint, and we're going to create a decentralized ID. So what you've got is the entrance into the blockchain for your customer and for yourself really stems around the decentralized ID, because once you create a decentralized ID, it's the foundation of all future e-commerce.
Right. What we're talking about now is, there are existing tools right now that in order to do, digital marketing, get the word out and everybody, right? We talked about data, the the emails, campaigns that are your website. I actually just said the SEOs that are so important to attract. So none of that thinking, that process is going to change in terms of the outward appearance and what we're doing here. However, there's a little difference. The technology, like that iceberg effect that you see, when you see, the top, have so many things below is most of what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah,
That iceberg is the blockchain
correct.
that is now going to allow all of those tools to work so much more effectively than they are today.
You said it right. So while today you're just going to do a simple configuration and start putting into the blockchain, but what you're doing is you're building a framework for the future. Let's talk search engine. So search engines will probably go away under the blockchain, because what will happen is your smart contract or the things that you're interested or the things you bought will basically, you'll be able to set a setting under privacy whether or not you want to see those things. So now all of a sudden the concepts that you still probably will have an interface that looks very much like a search engine, but you'll see a lot more things presented to you based upon your role, your position, what you're doing. You see some of that today, where you can go into your settings on your iPhone and kind of configure the kind of news you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
But with the blockchain, you're going to be a lot more granular, and that certainly would go beyond your professional side into your purchasing decisions. Now let's go to the next level. What's going to happen with a blockchain is you'll probably see emails change drastically. You're not going to see emails anymore that are marketing to you. You'll probably have an app that will basically give you the concepts that are available, but they'll also tell you, much like a coupon program today, they'll also tell you what's it in for you, like what's in it for Pete if you respond. So you'll see a distributed advertising model, but you can't get to that unless you just start by standing up a page, integrating horizontally into your supply chain, identifying who you buy that from, look at all the rules, start putting those rules in, taking the rules of the products and start migrating everything that you're doing today into the blockchain, and then be able to figure out how to start building the foundation. But most importantly, the true foundation is getting your customer in and making them a decentralized ID, and then making sure that you have the rights to talk to them in the future as a smart contract. Because once that happens, you've got the very foundation of a distributed advertising model on the blockchain. And when that happens, this little website of generating revenue changes drastically in the next few years.
It really does. But step number one, we've been talking about this the last several weeks, is to establish your unique identity on the blockchain, to create a new database, about yourself. That is step one, correct?
Correct. Once you create your decentralized ID, then you can create attributes off of that decentralized ID. One of them is I have a company. And then from that company, I have products. Here are the product kinds. Here's what the products are. And here's the rules associated with selling them, along with shipping, pricing, etc. So just by creating a website and then building a very simple blockchain implementation, you're 99% ahead of all your competitors right away. And then when you invite another decentralized ID into your website that's powered by the blockchain, now all of a sudden you have an immutable relationship in the blockchain with you and your customers, and you're building a foundation for where you're not going to need to talk to them in the future through email or email campaigns or traditional marketing. You're going to have the beginning of your own personalized, decentralized advertising capability for whatever product you want to sell in the future. So the important thing is just to start now.
I think that this also, what it does, it occurs to me that it's another way, a more effective way to do networking, with other business professionals online, because you're going to be talking to or connecting with like-minded people, with and instead of trying to talk to 100 different people online and do networking and all that networking aspect will be, you're connecting with kind of like that person that you were meant to meet at some point in your life because of so many similarities, right? And you actually connect with them.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. When you think about all the unique attributes that we have, and what's interesting is, you're going to see some products and services that are non-fungible. You're certainly going to see, you're going to still see buying patterns that are non-fungible. So you're going to start seeing these concept of exchange of non-fungible tokens between decentralized IDs.
Yeah.
And each one of those are going to have rules associated with it. So you're going to see commerce change. I mean, I think in our last meeting we had with Abby,
Yeah.
wow, what we talked about on how advertising is going to change just in media on the blockchain with his company and what he's doing over there. That's now extending into the web. You're going to see unique ways to engage your company, your customers' buying habits. You're going to see companies start emerging that will be selling leads as non-fungible tokens. And those non-fungible tokens will be approved, will be authorized by the decentralized ID solely for the decentralized ID. And all of a sudden, customers are going to start getting paid when someone advertises for them. So no longer are you going to be able to look at an application that says, hey, just to let you know, Google made $14,000 off you last month, which is the current trend in privacy for someone to tell you how much somebody else is making using your identity. That's awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's great that the world is saying, hey, here's an app that says how much Facebook made from selling your data. And here's an app that says how much Google made from selling your data. But I don't know about you. You're kind of going, well, what about me?
I haven't gotten a check in the mail from any of those folks.
Yeah,
because of my information.
No, in your industry and entertainment and broadcast, you guys at least have the the SAG-AFTRA guys that will at least send you a check every time you do something, right? And forever.
Well, that's the hope. That's the idea. Hey, listen, I think I'm going to be a good case study.
Okay.
All right. We're in talks. I'm going to be setting up my decentralized database, what have you. I have a new website that I'm rolling out hopefully in 2 to 3 weeks. How do I, as an entrepreneur, tap into, or what should I be thinking about so that new website that I have rolling out can help me market my company effectively and obviously monetize?
Yeah, great question. So the first thing you want to start thinking about that you may not have thought about before is rather than taking and just outsourcing search engine optimization with keywords and AdWords, you really want to think about, okay, how do I start putting the kinds of contracts that I want for people to come to my website? What is my ideal customer profile? So it's interesting. As you start designing the future website, you're going to start looking at, well, what does my ideal customer profile look like? Is it a male? Is it a female? Do they speak Spanish? Do they speak English? Where do they live? What type of content do you think they're going to like? What is my affinity with them? And you're really going to start identifying those attributes now in a lot more detail, because what you're really creating, Pete, it's an exciting time. You're creating the foundation of the smart contract for your ideal customer profile. And that's hard to do. I can tell you the number of times I get in front of marketing experts and I'll say, hey, let me ask you a question. Why do you go ask companies in the first time you meet them, what does your ideal customer look like? Well, the whole reason why the company's hiring you to be a marketing expert is for you to tell them that.
Exactly.
But so the nice thing is you can sit there and you can say, well, certainly as entrepreneurs, and certainly with this new venture you're starting, you probably have a pretty good idea of what your ideal customer should be. So your parameters in the beginning will be very big. You're going to cast a wide net. But over a period of time, you're going to be able to start running big data analytics. And you and I talked about this before the show on really what are the unique attributes of the people that watch your show. Maybe they all are people that wear a blue shirt. Maybe they're all people that like the color, the slight hue of the purple and your cool wood background there. We don't know. But what we do know is we have a general vector in which we want to go, and we want to basically learn from that. So in the beginning, you're going to define some parameters of what you want, because once you start tapping into organizations that have decentralized IDs, you're going to start creating relationships with them about, well, here's who I think I want to advertise to. And if you're doing a really good job, Pete, you're going to want to be able to say, well, these are all the people that signed in underneath me onto my decentral as my entrance into decentralized ID, and I have a very unique relationship with it. I've become the trusted agent in an untrusted world. And so the entry into the blockchain to create a decentralized ID may very well be you. Someone go, you know what, I really trust Pete. I like what he's talking about. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and go to his web front. I'm going to maybe purchase something, or maybe I'm going to sign up for use it to sign up for a notification on his future shows. So now you've become a trusted agent, and as such, you're the one that's basically the proponent for them on their decentralized ID. So now, because you've brought them and onboarded them as a decentralized ID, you have a unique relationship with them because they've trusted you and said, okay, well, I'll give my data if you help me onboard onto the blockchain. And so now you're in a unique position, an extremely unique position, because you're the trusted agent for that person.
Yes.
Now that person may very well reside in CrowdPoint's blockchain, but you're the one that onboarded them. And that's a very special relationship. So from that, you start to mine that data and you start to communicate with that person, and then you assist them on their journey. So it's going to be a lot more personal than it's been, I believe. I think certainly a lot of people will be shaking their head the opposite direction that I am going, no. I mean, it's the customer acquisition costs will be too high. And I'll rebuke them and say, well, when you are the trusted agent that onboards a decentralized ID, your long-term value is better than a short-term transaction. So I don't know who's going to be right. I think I'm going to be right. I think the blockchain provides an opportunity to have a lot more personal relationships with people, because right now we don't. Right now, your data is just being bought and sold on a human identity slave trade. And then someone recently built an app and goes, well, here's how much people have made off you. Well, I don't know if that's good or bad, Pete.
Right. Well, the good news is that there's money to be made. The bad news is you're not making it. Others are. I mean, that's the bottom line there. I think two words keep coming up to me as we're talking, and every session we've had, but it's more clear than it's ever been before. It's about trust and precision. You know, the trust that you're just talking about right now, that people can develop and grow on, but also to be very precise. If what you're doing is not precise, okay, then they may like you, but they may not want to do business with you, okay? They want to deal with someone that is efficient, that is precise, and that's where I think the best matchups happen. You know, you've heard we have these football teams, let's say NFL football teams, and one has they're at a point in the season, one is 10-4, the other one is 4-10, right? But every year, and that 4-10 team either beats, and usually division rivals, beats the 10-4 team, because why? Because there's a good matchup. There's a good matchup there, so it favors that team that otherwise is not winning. But when they play a certain team, there's a good matchup there, so they have success.
Yeah.
So I think that in a way is, it's strategizing and all that, but it appears to me there's a lot of work up front to set all this up. But once you do it, then that process starts to take over at that point.
Yeah, because you have to stop thinking linearly. The whole concept of decentralized ideas, you've got all these vectors. So, what you're really talking about is there's going to be a few people that are going to create an affinity with other people.
Yes.
And that affinity, that person they created the affinity with is really going to become an ambassador to bringing them onto the blockchain. And then from that, there's going to be a most favored status for that person that does that. Because now all of a sudden they're saying, okay, well, help me on my journey, guide me in this process. Mm-hmm. And then through that process, you're establishing the smart contracts, and there may be education that you're able to send out. You may join an app, a blockchain app that are starting to emerge right now, where now communication with them comes based upon the rules they want to give. Maybe they only want to hear from Pete De La Torre on a Wednesday at 2 p.m, so that even though you want to message them, they put their smart contract with you. Why? On Tuesday afternoons, I'm kind of drinking my tea and I'd like to hear from Pete. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to start seeing smart contracts on how and when and what content we can send to people.
This is mind-boggling. I mentioned it to you last time we spoke. Man, I said we're only scratching the surface. I don't even know if we're on the surface yet. I mean,
No, we are just, the good news is, ladies and gentlemen, it's manifest destiny. We're at the we think we've been here in our original 13 colonies. We kind of discovered the Ohio River Valley, and we're starting to spread out, and we're thinking, wow, we've got this whole thing done. We understand technology, but when you tie it back to the growth of maybe the United States, we just hit the Mississippi River.
yes.
And there's California out there, and there's the Rocky Mountains, and there's all this beautiful terrain. And wow, if you just get out there and plant a stake now, you're going to be ahead of everybody else. So you can either slow and go, and you can be on the wagon train and just kind of be led down the path that they want to take you to, only for you to fit into another model when you get to the new California. Or you can be a micropreneur, which is kind of a rugged individual, a new pioneer that gets out there and gets ahead of the crowd and plants your stake in the ground before anybody else does.
We have the new Daniel Boones of the world, my friend.
That's it. No, it's a great analogy.
This is the new gold rush.
It is. It really is. And people need to understand that. And so the good news is we're going to make mistakes along the way. We're going to learn some lessons, but the good news is you're there first. And the whole concept of embracing the fact that if you can help someone onboard them and onboard their decentralized ID, you're going to really be a trusted agent in what currently is an untrusted world.
It really is there. And I'm thinking about the mainland, the States, but then there's the rest of the world to conquer.
Yeah.
So and being that, with technology, it's a global economy, global opportunity. So it's better than ever. Give us a sneak preview of what will be session 8.
Yes, session 8. Next week we're going to talk about the new beginning. So today we kind of gave you the perfect number in session 7 about what's next. But what we're going to talk about in session 8 is we're really going to go through a practical exercise. We're going to literally take today's conversation and say, okay, here's how you get started. Here's what you can do. We're going to make it extremely practical. You and I are going to talk offline and figure out how to present it, but we're going to give people steps 1 through 8 on how they can get started and make it real simple.
How to get started and then eventually making money. So it's a beautiful thing, man. It really is. Hey, Sean, thank you, buddy. You're creating also a day for all of us. So 24 hours doesn't make any sense for you anymore. You're creating 36-hour days. Okay.
Well, we're compressing time. I taught, for those watching, I called Pete this morning and said, wow, it's another I got a couple hours of sleep and we're back at it again. So you and I, my friend, we're compressing time.
We really are, man. Hey, buddy, thank you very, very much. Can't wait to the next one, man. This is great.
Thanks very much.
Man. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Wow. Every one of us, every one of you has an opportunity to make money with the blockchain. I want to thank Sean O'Brien Brem again for unbelievable insights, words of wisdom. Very, very exciting. This program again is brought to you by Blockchain Ecosystems, powered by CrowdPoint Technologies. Keep your comments and your feedback coming in. This has been fantastic. It's helping us to continue to talk about what you want to hear. And the engagement is just a real blessing. Again, every Wednesday, 7 p.m. on my Facebook page and YouTube channel, Pete Delatorre. I'm going to ask you to follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and if you got a moment, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You have a fantastic week. Take care of yourselves. God bless.